this track instead. It was the easiest one. Justin came over, and he's like, "Oh, I got a bunch of loop ideas," and chucked them in here. And like this track, I think we did some weird stuff.
Dude.
Like, did we do modular? Did we do some hardware on this track, or was it all just weird?
There was a tiny bit of gear, but barely. It was mostly in the computer.
But it was this little, like, I remember the section that made it in from the modular gear, but I have no idea.
We actually took out the big section. It's just like a tiny little thing.
This part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we actually did use a tiny bit of this. But basically it's just samples flying around and a whole bunch of loops. And I don't really remember much else. This one came together super fast.
Dude, the initial idea came together like really quickly because it was we took this like these two different vocal samples. Here,
right.
Let me get this going. Hold on. Let me get organized. Okay, so the whole spirit of the song came from two silly vocal samples. That, and I think here's the other one. So it's the woo and the ow. And the whole idea was we put it into simpler and automated the decay time so it starts really short and then gets longer. Yeah. So that pop sound sounds almost like a drum. That's actually the vocal. You can hear it getting like a little bit more open.
Right.
And then what we do is we switch between the woo and then the ow, which here's the. Dude, one of the most challenging parts of this song for me was getting the low end to feel good because I remember coming here and I was like, dude, can you play like your fattest like 808 kick drum samples and like these big booms? And we just chucked like a bunch of different samples together. And initially it was like really kind of chaotic. Like this is, I think, the core beat. It was stuff like this where there's just a lot of different things happening. Like here, yeah. And it probably was even more complicated than that initially. And using the complicated bits here and there was nice, but finding a simpler pattern was like really important.
This was just like a cleanup track. Like a cleanup track is one that starts out with a bunch of messy loops, but it sounds really cool, and then you just have to go clean it up.
Yeah. And I feel like all of these tracks on the CP, like they're all super layered. You know, it's like simple ideas.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so many different layers. Like when you bring everything together. It doesn't sound that, like there's not that many things happening. It's just a vocal, drums, and some like 808 toms. But when you go through like the entire track, everything's like stacked pretty full. Little halftime section.
Our little trap section.
But yeah, getting all these different bits to fit with each other.
You can hear the remixes.
Right. I think another big thing that across the CP that I was trying to avoid was not just 4 to the floor, but also for the most part trying to see if we could avoid putting claps on beats 2 and 4 as much as possible to try and do things that just felt like more off kilter. And most of the song. So that clap, it's playing such a weird pattern, but for some reason I think it still works. Let's see if I can find where the clap is. If I turn on the metronome, you can hear. So like, yeah, these snares that are like,
Yeah.
just trying to find these patterns that avoid even putting the snare on every single beat. I felt like a lot of the inspiration that came up was like tribal African music. There's stuff where it's like boom ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum,
Yeah.
where the snares are like ch 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 like around
It's like
the beat and so on
the
it.
kind music guys that never even use claps.
Right, exactly.
And you're like, this track is so funky, and then you don't even realize that there's no clap or snare in it.
Right. It's so satisfying. And yeah, I feel like it was challenging because unlike that stuff, we also didn't have 4 to the floor. It wasn't a kick drum on every beat. The patterns were pretty strange too. There's like so much space.
I mean, it's not strange, it's just not house.
Right. And it's funny that like you can have a track that's like pretty energetic, even with so much space between these kicks. Like that's just so much. But when you add like all of the toms, which kind of help fill out the low end. It all starts to like fill out, and I think really the main driving force behind this track is the vocal. Here's everything. Like once the vocal's in, yeah, so definitely kind
Party
of
jam.
party jam. All right, that's it. Those are the songs in the EP.
There's also a remix by Pearson Sound. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, true.
And that's it.
We did it.
Great.